I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Ooh, yeah. Crystal Good afternoon, everyone. This is Gilbert Buchanan. Gilbert Buchanan along here with Crystal Mitchell. And we want to welcome you back to the Business Zone. This is Friday, July 29th. And this is our fourth show. And Crystal, we're loving this. This is great, isn't it?
It is. And good afternoon, everyone. This is, as he said, this is our fourth show, and we've been having a great time. We're getting a lot of great responses from our audience and from everyone that's viewing the videos that are up on our YouTube channel. So glad to have you guys get back again. And
Excellent. So today we've got some great things in store for you. We've got our topic today is leveraging small business financing, and we've got a guest in the studio which we'll introduce a little bit later on in the show. But today we're going to talk about how small businesses can obtain financing. And this, Crystal, this is your playground. You love financing. This is what you do. So you want to kick off and tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you think small businesses have?
Yes, it is my area of expertise. But before I go there, Gilbert, I want to kind of do a recap of what's been going on for this past week for myself.
Oh, yes.
Last week we had, or the week before, we had some kids on and some individuals that came from the NIFTY program, which is the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And so we kicked off our camp on Monday. But prior to that, my colleague and I, Rhonda Santaford, we actually were at NIFTY camp, NIFTY University, right. And we spent 4 days becoming certified NIFTY teachers. So wow. I am now a certified NIFTY teacher.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. And so camp kicked off on Monday. Uh-huh. We have 31 incredible, I can't even tell you how incredible these children are.
Wow. From
the ages of 9 years old to 18.
Amazing.
And they all have their business ideas that are like awesome.
Amazing.
Just awesome ideas. Camps for kids with weight issues, magazines for plus size teenagers.
Wow.
I think we have a couple of individuals, mobile apps, one for finding and locating shoe sizes 9 and above. Mm-hmm. You just name it. These businesses, a job site for kids under the age of 12.
Oh, wow.
And then there's one kid, she's going to do a driving service that will pick the kids up and take them to their jobs so their parents won't have to do it.
Amazing. So it's like miniature entrepreneurs out there. Huh?
These are miniature entrepreneurs that we're actually getting ready to put into the workforce, in the entrepreneurial world. They're excited. This camp is 10 days. It's intensive. And they're there from 8 o'clock in the morning from 8:30 in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Wow.
And it's like a work day. So 9 o'clock we start teaching, then we do activities, then they go to work on their business plan, and then from there I do other activities. They get up, they do their elevator pitches. So when I left there today, we were doing, they had to take a candy bar and they had to create a marketing strategy and approach for it.
Oh,
and
wow.
then they did their jingle. That's why I was running a little behind because I was trying to hear all of them. We went to the Junior Achievement Finance Park yesterday, so they learned about budgeting and finances. And so the overall consensus for the kids were, don't have children because they cost too much. Don't get married because that costs too much. Don't have a broke man or woman because that costs too much. College is too expensive. And the overall was, It's very hard, and everything about being an adult is hard.
Oh, my Lord. So they came up with all of that all by themselves?
All by themselves. That was the overall consensus of the financial park. So now they understood. They were going back to hug their moms and dads because they realized that mom and dad, that's a tough job to take care of children that need everything.
That's amazing.
So they had a great time. We took them on a shopping tour down in the alley on Tuesday. So tomorrow afternoon over at the Urban League at 3450 Mount Vernon Drive, there is going to be a sale day. They actually all bought products. They're going to price it. They're doing their marketing for their tables, and they're going to sell their products.
That's pretty intense.
That's pretty intense. They received their investment of $25 to go out and buy their product.
Wow.
So tomorrow they're going to come back and they're going to pay, reimburse their investor for the $25 loan that they received, and hopefully they will have made a profit based upon how they're going to price it.
That is amazing, Chris. So you're doing a great job with those kids. That's phenomenal.
So we're excited, and next Friday they will have their business plan completed by Wednesday. And then Thursday and Friday, Wednesday, Thursday, they will be practicing, and on Friday they're going to be in a competition for $500 cash prize.
I certainly would love to come by and try to see what I can add to the flavor. We'd
love to have
Monday
you
or something like that.
Yeah, we need coaches.
Yes.
We need plenty of coaches to come out next week. It's going to be an intense day, so anybody that have any business, marketing, or financials, or just help the kids get their presentation together, even helping them make sure they deliver a great presentation would be helpful. So we need coaches. Great. So I'm putting a call out to all my colleagues out there. Come by an hour of volunteer time for these incredible 31 kids. You will walk away, and it will be a really rewarding time for you.
I'll definitely come by on Monday afternoon.
Okay, that'll be fantastic. Yeah. We will love that. So that brings us down to financing.
That's what I'm talking about.
So one of the things, as we just talked about, business plans.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the first thing, is understanding what your product is and why you're doing that product. And I was telling the kids today, you can create, if you don't know who your target market is, and one of the things we talked about today was doing the market research, because if someone's going to invest in your business, they need to know and feel confident that you know
your market.
That you know your market.
Exactly.
Because you can't sell anything without that market.
That's true.
Right?
That is true.
So what I found in my experience is that a lot of our businesses don't do business plans. I say they get into business by default.
Yeah, and the thing about it, they do have a business plan, Crystal.
It's in their head.
The business plan is up here. It's in their head.
It's in their head.
En la cabeza.
and it's all kind of jumbled up there. They kind of throw it out there as they go. They're flying by the seat of their pants.
Oh, yes.
And so it's fine if the market is good. It's wonderful if the economy is great, because they probably can break even. Yeah. They're not making a profit, but they're probably breaking even. But don't let there be some kind of crisis. Woo. Don't let there be some sort of threat, don't let the market crash like it did 10 years ago.
It's over.
And it's done.
Yes.
They're over. It's over and done with. So I would probably say that the biggest thing that I see with some of the businesses I dealt with is not really having a clear focus of where they're going and how they're going. They have a product. They love doing what they do, but the business foundation is not strong and the structure is not there. And so when it comes to looking for capital to grow their business, that becomes an issue.
It makes it difficult.
It makes a big difference.
Because they cannot demonstrate that they're making a profit. Or it's a good investment, because lenders are looking at, risk factor. They're looking at, okay, how is this risk going to be minimal to what I'm putting into this business? They want to make sure that the risk isn't that great.
Exactly.
Banks call it risk averse.
Right, exactly.
They want to know it's risk averse. So, the small businesses need to understand that. And we call the financial aspect of your business the vital signs.
Yes.
If the vital signs are not there, you don't have a pulse, you're dead.
You're
business
dead.
is dead.
You're dead. And trying to figure it out after, and when it's right in the middle of the crisis,
Yes.
it's very hard. You can't get into it. And I guess the reason that we're doing this show is because we realized that a lot of our businesses that are in business already, it's hard for them to come out to the workshops and the seminars, and although it's necessary.
Yeah.
It definitely is something that you should be doing.
That's right.
We even talked to the kids today about that. Having a network, a team of people that you can reach out to, that you don't have to do it all yourself.
Right.
It's very, very important.
Right.
And then having a network of customers that could be potentially there through 60 degrees of separation from the people in your network.
Yeah.
So working solo in a business and your head down in it,
It's not going to help.
It doesn't help you.
No.
So the purpose of the show was to be able to hopefully get at least the information out to them on the airways, and then they can see the value of them coming to us for workshops and classes and having mentors and coaches in order to be able to grow their businesses.
Excellent. And with that being said, Crystal, what I'd like to do is to just remind our audience what this show is all about. This is the Business Zone. And this is a business zone a business program, a supply diversity program, where entrepreneurship, business opportunity, supply diversity come together to create opportunities for small businesses. And that's what we do here. We try to help you, the small business, so you can become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. We also want to give out our phone number today. It's 323-293-3375. That's 323-293-3375. When our guest comes on the air today, you guys are going to have a whole lot of questions for him. And he's going to tell you guys a lot about lending and financing. So that's going to be amazing. So, Crystal, with that being said, did you want to go ahead and
introduce our guest? Welcome our guest. Yes, I will love to. His name is Richard Pallay.
Mr.
Pallay. Mr. Pallay.
He's got that French name.
And he is an SBA 7 Community Advantage Business Development Officer at CDC Small Business Finance. Mr. Pallay is a business development banker. He complemented by his experience in financial investment vehicles, insurance, and home mortgages. Richard has more than 30 years of business and financial experience. His integrity and strong people skills have garnered him many long-lasting, profitable relationships with a vast array of businesses ranging from small to multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs. He believes his passion to serve others, coupled with his financial background, qualifies him to find the right solutions and strategies to meet the needs of his most discerning clients. So we want to welcome you, Mr. Pallay, and thank you for joining us. And I am sure you are going to gift us with so much wisdom and tips. Welcome
to the show, Mr. Pallay.
Well, thank you, Gilbert and Crystal. I'm saying your names in the order in which I'm looking at you, Gilbert first, and then Crystal. No disrespect to you, Crystal, being a lady here with us.
Thank you.
I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I'm excited to be able to share with our audience. You mentioned about supplier diversity, so that tells me we have a diverse audience in which we're trying to provide information to, and it's a wonderful opportunity to be here to share.
Thank you. So welcome to the show. And pretty much what we want to find out today, we just want to know what are some of the things that small businesses need to do prior to coming to your organization looking for loans, because you offer loans for small business as well as mortgages, correct?
Mortgages, not our organization. CDC Small Business Finance, we only do small business lending.
Excellent.
I have experience in mortgage lending, but as far as this company, it is just a small business.
Excellent.
Small business loans.
We want to make that very clear to the businesses out there. So tell us some of the things that small businesses need to do prior to coming in and applying for a loan.
Sure. I definitely want to thank Crystal for the information on the NIFTY program.
The NIFTY program.
NIFTY, because one thing you pointed out is a business plan.
Yes.
What I tell people is faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen.
Oh, right, exactly.
It's nice to have faith. It's nice to believe, I really believe this is going to work.
Right.
But we're also told that write the vision and make it plain so that others may see it and run with it.
Yes, exactly.
If you don't write it down, nobody knows what exactly you're talking about, where you plan on going with your business, and how you're going to get there. It's your vehicle.
Yes.
Right? It's your car. It's nice to have a car. But if you don't have the keys, right, you can't drive the car. So the keys are, what is it going to take to get that car to move? That business plan tells me this is my vehicle, this is where I want to go. I definitely want to talk to the young person that's going to do the app on how to find shoes.
Okay.
Over size 9 to 12. I wear 13, and shocked when I went to Macy's and found out, we don't carry anything over 9. I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm 6 feet tall. So what are the size of the people you're typically serving that it's not profitable to serve me? That's just a side note.
Little people.
Exactly.
So certainly it's a business plan, and I don't know how far you want to go with the question, Gilbert. You let me know what else you want to know, but I want to say let's start with the business plan.
Okay.
As Crystal has already pointed out, we can go over components of that business plan, as Crystal has already started us on that path, but it definitely starts there.
Okay, so that's great. So now that we know that they need a business plan, when they bring that business plan to you, what are some of the key areas within the plan that you look for?
One thing I'm looking for in that business plan is, what do we say before? It's the vehicle that's going to move your business forward. Well, the first thing I want to know is, who's the driver?
Right.
Who is going to drive this business? Who's going to be the person that's going to say, this is the direction that we want to take the business? What is the background experience of that driver? Right. Did you decide that you're starting this business? You thought, you know what? My family has said the cupcakes I make every Christmas are so wonderful that I should sell them. Well, if that's your only experience, and that's wonderful when you're 12, it's absolutely wonderful when you're 12 to just have those cupcakes and sell those cupcakes and take your $25 investment and make it grow.
Your market doesn't have to be that large. Right?
It absolutely does not. But when we're talking about more formal businesses, I want to know, what was your thought process in terms of, my experience says that I should be able to do something like this. So let's start there. Let's start with, who are you? Why should I believe that you, ma'am, sir, are going to be successful in starting this particular business? I'm not saying you can't be a business owner.
Right.
I'm saying this particular business. Tell me about you in writing.
Right. That's great.
Right.
That's great.
Right.
And then once they tell you a little bit about themselves, you see their history, you see their capacity, their capability, then you might want to know a little bit about the product or service they're offering, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now that I know about you, thank you, Gilbert. Now that I know about you, I want to know about the product. How was the product developed? And the product does not have to necessarily be a manufactured product. It could be an online business. Look at Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't own any of the products. They're just a purveyor of someone else's products. It's just a place in which you can buy and sell, a market space, right?
Exactly.
So you can actually have a business that way. So what is it that you want to sell? What is it that you want to market to a broader audience? Right. Following that, and it sounds like what you want me to just kind of go through it, so I'll just take the path and go through it. Now that I know what your product is and why you believe this product is going to sell, now my question to you is, and I'm sure both of you have watched Shark Tank at least once in your life.
Yes.
I think they're up to 10 seasons now, and I've heard people, when I've asked audiences how many watch Shark Tank, and some people say, I hate Shark Tank. It's all just dramatics and it's all TV. Well, what I share with audiences, pay attention to Shark Tank. A question that you're constantly hearing is customer acquisition costs. And who are your customers?
Exactly.
They want to know, if you have a product, who's the audience that's going to possibly buy your product versus someone else who may carry the very same product.
And is there a need for that product?
And that's what we talked about this week with the kids. That's the first thing we started with is the problem. Is it a problem or an unmet need that your product is going to satisfy?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just, they think it's a great idea. Oh, this is a great idea. I need it.
Yeah.
them personally, but does everyone else need it? Is it
Exactly.
is it going to solve anybody else's problem?
Got to solve a pain. Got to
Right,
solve a pain in the
somebody.
marketplace. Yep.
And once we've established that, okay, I can solve a pain, I do have an audience that wants that particular product, how will you reach that audience? What is it going to cost you? And they talk about this on Shark Tank, customer acquisition costs. Now that you've identified your audience, what is it going to cost you to get to them, to reach out to them, to say, I'm available to do a transaction with you for a product that I've identified that you need?
Right, exactly.
Do you have a social media campaign? Who's putting that campaign together? Are you the end-all, be-all in your business, or have you hired a few smarter people, or are you enlisting the services, possibly through internship, right?
Right.
Who can help you? My children are wonderful at social media, so I'm constantly telling them, okay, help Dad set up a Facebook just for what I do. What do you mean, hashtag, underscore? What is that? Tell me about that. Help me.
Exactly. In fact, you could hire your kids. That could be your first, to just do that, because that's what they do well, right? Yeah. So they could be hired to do that. But with that, though, is interesting. There are a lot of my clients that just are so adverse to social media. It frightens them, but instead of going out to find out about it, not knowing that it is probably an incredible, valuable tool. We were talking about that in class today. Finding when you're out looking for your research data, the analytics and the analytical reports that you can get as a result of social media, it could take you months to do that manually, and it has for those of us who have been in business over 30 years. I mean, you had to do that through the census data. Now, Gilbert and I, we just marveled for our first show. Yeah. I put it on Facebook. I boosted it I think a total of $30, and it reached 14,886 people.
14,000.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
In 7 days.
Okay.
In 7 days. So behind that is an analytical report. Yes. I know exactly who those 14,000 people were, what regions they came from, the age, the gender, the income. I mean, it just kind of gives you all the information that you need. Yeah. So instead of being adverse to Facebook and Google and Instagram and all of that, you need to use them because it is a way, and you can play with it. It doesn't. What's a few pennies? You set your budget. So if $5 is your budget, that's a good place to start to find out exactly how many people are you reaching, if nowhere else than Facebook.
Yeah. All right. That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
And may I add, or may I ask, Crystal, these were not all your friends, right? These weren't 14,000 of personally known friends.
No, I probably fall short like 10,000.
So social media help you make new friends.
They help me make new friends, exactly. I've had many people that have reached out to me on LinkedIn. That have asked me to connect because they've seen my profile and wanted us to do business together. But it's a great way. For another class I teach at Mount SAC, that's one of the it's a 12-week program that I teach accounting and bookkeeping to to individuals that are coming through the GAIN program, the Warfare to Work program.
Excellent.
And the last part of the course, that's what I teach them, is to build their LinkedIn profile, because that is another way of making sure that you're connecting to people and seeing people that you already know out there, but you may have lost contact with, and they could be your next employer, or they could work for someone and they can vouch for you because you worked with them in a previous employment. But no, that wasn't all of my friends, and it wasn't all of Gilbert's friends. These were total strangers, which whom we hope will become friendly.
Right.
We're hoping.
And I noted, Crystal, that you said you use LinkedIn, which typically, as I've used LinkedIn, it's a professional place to look for people and to put information. So I'm not talking so much about my hobbies. Is that correct?
Right. You're not talking about your hobbies. And I think even without it's said, but even without it having to be repeated, most people know that's not the place to say that I went for a walk with my dog or I was hanging out at the park. Okay. Everything generally in that space is professional and has something to do with your business, because that's your professional resume right there online. Excellent. So you're careful about who you are becoming friendly with and who you are connecting with, because you want to make sure it's on the right platform, because other people are viewing you all the time there to see who you are. That's your now resume.
Yes.
And your vitae, and it's all online. So the more accurate and the more up to date it is for your betterment. So as you keep adding on your accomplishments, and then you get people to interact with you a little bit easier, I think, than Facebook.
Okay.
When I put up last week that I had become a NUSI certified teacher, I have been receiving. Oh, got a call.
Okay.
Hi.
Hello, caller. How are you today? Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? What's your name and where you're calling from?
Hi, my name is Samaya, and I'm calling from the Biz Camp.
Okay, you said Shamaya?
Yes.
How do you spell that, Shamaya?
S. Oh, I'm good.
Okay. It sounds like you got your radio. You got your radio on, or your computer.
The computer there at the camp. Samaya, this is from the Biz Camp. Hi, sweetie. You have a question?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, go ahead with your question, please, Samaya.
Well, I really don't have a question. I would just like to thank Miss Crystal for all that she has done for us, and I really appreciate her for that. And I'm really interested when she's teaching us, and it's very fun.
Oh, excellent. That is good. That is good. Crystal, you want to say hi to Samaya?
Hi, Samaya. How are you? Are you guys watching the show? Are you watching the show? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you guys watching the show?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And you're behaving for Miss Rhonda?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for listening, Samaya. We really appreciate that, and keep on listening. And make sure you get 10 of your friends to tune in also. Okay.
Okay.
She actually has 31 friends right now tuning in.
Well, tune into all 31 of them. Have them listen. Okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
sweetheart. I appreciate the wonderful accolades that you guys gave me. That I really, really treasure that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So that's 31 of your 14,000.
That's 31 of my 14,000. I come with a lot of people behind me.
There you go.
So, Mr. Pallay, we were talking about loans, and we're talking about what does small businesses need to do in order to get ready for a loan when they're looking for small business financing. So we talked about the business plan. We talked about making sure that your market analysis is done, and also having an idea what products or services you're offering, and make sure that you can actually demonstrate or articulate what that product does and what type of pain it's solving in the marketplace. And that's a necessary pain that's needed, right?
Right.
So now the next phase of this, I'm sure you probably want to see some financial statements. So what type of financial statements do you want from small business owners?
Just in between the financial statements, as we've identified that we can solve a pain, when we talked about customer acquisition, we're just going to take it one step back, and then we're going to go two steps forward really, really quickly.
No problem.
As we step backwards and recognize that we can solve a pain, oftentimes when I get business plans as a part of the financial package, people put fancy graphs and charts in from Excel, which is wonderful. But there's something called sales assumptions.
Right.
When you give me that fancy chart, I need to know the background. How did you get there? We talked about customers. What is it going to cost you to acquire that customer? Or what's the expense to maintain that customer? What is the expense to keep your doors open if you're in a retail space?
Right.
If you're in your home, maybe you have home expenses. Is there anything that you have to buy or use in order to purvey that product, in order to convey that product out to your customer? So I want to know the sales assumptions. What are your activities every day now that you told me about those expenses? And you know where all that's going before I get to financials? It's in your projections. Once you realize what it costs you to put your product to market and get your customers to say, I want to buy that product, you've now transacted a sale, you now have revenue. Wonderful.
Yeah.
But in the projections, how quickly are you going to get revenue?
Right.
You may bake the cupcakes today and be ready to take them to market, but it may be 3 days before your first customer comes and buys a cupcake.
And what strategy are you using to reach out to that customer in
Absolutely.
order to get the sale?
Absolutely. So I want those projections. From those projections, then those numbers should feed into your profit and loss. This is what my product is. This is what my cost of goods sold are. So it's that sale, then the cost of goods sold from that sale. Now I have my gross revenue.
Yeah.
Now I may have employee expenses. I have my phone bill, and today it's DirecTV and internet. And so after I pay all my internet providers and my TV and everything I use to get to that customer, my bottom line is what? That's my profit.
And that's a very good point you just brought up right now, because I'd like to share this with some of our listeners out there. A number of them have asked us about cost of goods sold. What is cost of goods sold? Can you really tell them a little bit about that? What cost of goods sold is?
What you want to look at when you're looking at cost of goods sold, you want to look at the direct expenses for your product. Those other expenses that we mentioned, that's part of your operating cost. But the direct expense to either make or distribute that particular product, those are your costs of goods sold.
Excellent, excellent. So small businesses out there, entrepreneurs, that's exactly what this is all about. And what we're going to do right now, we're going to come right back to Mr. Pallay, but we're going to take a quick break, 2-minute break right here. So let's go to break.
And we are back. You are here at the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and we're having a wonderful conversation with Mr. Pallay on what you need to do in order to be financially loan ready to grow your business and bring in the capital that you need to access. But you need to be prepared before that happens. And so we're going to continue our conversation.
Excellent. So, Mr. Pallay, we were talking a little bit earlier about cost of goods sold, which you gave us some excellent definition and description of what that is. I'm sure small businesses are going to love that because they really needed to know what cost of goods sold is. And also, cost of goods sold is also hyphenated as COGS, C-O-G-S, which is the same thing as cost of goods sold. So, so once they've gotten the cost of goods sold identified, what else do they need to do with regard to getting ready for their loan?
If we're assuming that all expenses are identified, so we have our COGS and then we have our operating expenses in the business, we've come down to our net revenue, picking up from where we were when we left for break, we want to recognize that when I'm looking at those projections, I want to know how long is it going to take you to break even. I just want to know, you may run in the red for a while. It's not realistic, and this is very, very important for our listeners to realize. When you open your doors, you're not profitable from the first day, even if you're Elon Musk.
That's good to know.
And that's okay, right?
Right, and that's okay. Because Elon Musk has figured out a system, right, that I will be profitable eventually, but as I'm working to make my business profitable, I have a means of income to sustain myself. As lenders, we want to know, we expect in your projections that you won't be profitable right from the beginning, but how are you maintaining your business as you're working on becoming profitable? I've had phone calls where people have said, I have this idea for a business. I'm quitting my job tomorrow because it's going to require all of my energy to make this business work. We want to remember we don't want to do that. We want to hold on to our secondary source of income after our business as you're building your projections. What we like to see is that you expect to break even, meaning that your business is earning enough income after cost of goods sold and net operating costs that there's enough money for the business to start to sustain itself, where you're not using your secondary source of income to maintain your business. Now you're breaking even. And then from that point, you're actually generating a profit.
And that's another good point, another good term that you just brought up, break even. Many small businesses, they need to know what break even is. So, Mr. Pallay, if you can just define that a little bit for the listeners, what break even is and how does one go about getting breaking even?
It starts with the plan. It starts with understanding how much is it going to cost you to create your product, how much is it going to cost you to market your product, how much it's going to cost you to maintain wherever you are in your business. As you're doing that, you need to have a plan of how am I going to increase my sales to eventually cover all those costs. Because in the beginning, your product, you may have sold one product that cost you $3. You sold it for $5, but with that $2, now you're paying for everything else that you have to do. You have to pay for your phone bill. You have to pay for your internet.
It's fixed costs.
Maybe it's delivery costs or whatever. So you're paying for those fixed expenses. So over time, you want to generate enough sales where all of your fixed costs are paid, all of your COGS are paid, and now you have extra money left over, discretionary income, a.k.a. profit.
Sounds good to me. Sounds good. Excellent. So now that we've taken care of the COGS and we've taken care of break even, we want to make sure that we at least break even. Now, if the business is breaking even for 3 years, and that's what they have in their projection, how does that look to you?
We don't want a business to be flat. And let me explain flat. To your point, Gilbert, the business has broken even for 3 years. So he's riding steady, which is good because you told me 3 years. Okay, so you've been around a while. Yeah. But I would also say you've plateaued. You've gotten to the place where, sure, you're breaking even, but you're not really making any money because all you're doing is paying for itself. That's when you begin to ask, is this really worth it? And we're going to ask the same thing. If you've been doing this for 3 years, how long will you continue to be engaged only breaking even, never having any extra money to grow your business? Because what we ideally want as lenders, we want to see that you have a plan for growth to create jobs.
Right.
54% of the American economy is supported by small business, not big companies. We appreciate Xerox. We appreciate Google and Microsoft, all of those, and we can name so many. All of them are wonderful. They do not carry America. It's our small businesses that carry America.
So you want to make sure that what they're doing in actuality is not really a hobby. It's a business.
Yes.
Because if your business is not making a profit, then it's a hobby.
Yes.
And if it's making some profit, then we want to make sure that next year we're going to make a little bit more.
Yes.
And that should be part of our plan.
And in that, Gilbert, I'm making more money. What does that mean? That word that everyone hates, taxes?
Yeah, but what did Ross Perot say? That if you're making money and you're paying taxes, that means you're making money.
That's right.
It goes along with the territory of it.
Yes, it certainly does.
Something you said, Richard, and a lot of smaller businesses that are trying to parlay up to that next business, that next level, and some of them are really confused about how they get there. How do they actually, if they've plateaued, so how do they move into that next level, especially when capital is part of that equation?
Here's what's interesting at that particular point in your business. That's when I call on people who are smarter than me.
Okay.
Because if I've operated successfully enough, and using Gilbert's example, Crystal, of being in business for 3 years, obviously I've figured out enough to sustain, which is good. We want you to sustain. Now you bring in people who are smarter than you who can help you operate on your business rather than in your business.
Right.
Because obviously if you're breaking even for 3 years, you know how to operate in your business. You've gotten that down pat, and we're very happy that you did.
Right.
But bring in some smarter people who can now look at your business and see things that you didn't see. Is your signage attractive in that it's bringing in other customers besides those who are just within the 1 mile radius of your business? Is your social media campaign reaching enough audience members? I'm just making up random ideas.
Right.
Because every business is going to require a different strategy. But the idea is, how do you figure out how to go beyond your steady audience that's keeping you at that break-even point? I want to go beyond that. What do I need to do to break that threshold? That's when you bring in smarter people. I like to call them resources, right? I'm not saying investors. I'm not saying, okay, I'll give you this money in order to get you to grow, because all they did was give you money.
Right.
Yes, money does answer all things, but you want to use it properly so that the answer is yes when you want that money versus no, you're still not ready.
Okay.
Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, that does. In today's world, there's so much growth going on in Los Angeles, and everybody's trying to figure out where they fit in this new equation. Inglewood is going to be huge once the train is finished here on Crenshaw, and so many opportunities for new businesses to start up. who may have been operating very small. They may have been in their home-based businesses, but this might be the time to break out and say, okay, I need to be visible. I need to be in a brick and mortar. Are there vehicles, financial vehicles that can help them get there?
Absolutely. This ties back to what you mentioned earlier, Crystal, about those who are operating at the break-even point. They're have an idea that they can make this business work. Now they want to grow. Now we're going all the way backwards because we're going back to, I shouldn't say all the way backwards, but we're going back to the financial statements. Mm-hmm. You want to look at those expenses. You want to see, am I making a profit beyond break even? Because remember, you were breaking even, to your example, in your home.
In your home, right, in your home.
Now it's time to sit down again and say, okay, let me recalculate this new strategy.
Right.
If I'm going to have leases now, what's my lease cost going to be? Mm-hmm. Depending on where I'm leasing, is there going to be any additional expense? Am I going to have to pay for my customers to park in the lot in the building next to me? Are the customers going to have to pay for parking on the street? Will they be welcome to that fact because your product is so great, I'll pay that meter $1 for a half hour, depending on where you're located.
Exactly.
You may get away with an hour, depending on where you're located. You mentioned Crenshaw, so for $1, you could probably park for an hour. But can I give that customer such a great experience that they're going to be willing to pay that $1 and come into my business? So now you want to look at, before you move out, what are the expenses going to be? What is the cost? These expenses, these costs. What's going to happen as I move? If you're moving into a space, are you going to need shelving? Are you going to need new lighting? Are you going to need the plumbing updated? Here in this area, we have a lot of older buildings.
Right.
Did the current owner, who's usually an absentee owner, is
Generally.
everything up to code?
Exactly.
Because the county, in some of these older areas, the county has not been out in a long time to know. And I'm finding out from contractors that this year alone, there have been many new building code changes.
Oh, really?
And when I found that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I wonder how many owners know that it may be time to take a look at the electrical again. It may be time to look at the plumbing again. Maybe time to look at, are you ADA compliant in your building?
Right.
So just some thoughts.
Yeah, some thoughts. And then because we are in such a growth period now, and there's so many great opportunities out there, but really able to help our business owners get in a position that they can take advantage of those opportunities.
That's true. So now we've talked about the P&L, the profit and loss. So we're looking at items on there, but that's one financial statement. So what other financial statement would you like to see, before you feel comfortable with a borrower?
I'm also going to look at their balance sheet. I want to see, what have you invested when you think about owner's equity? What have you put into the business? I can't tell you how many times in places I've spoken at or phone calls I've received from customers who went to the bank and the bank just flat out said, oh, you're a startup, I don't want to work with you. So then they call me and say, well, I'm starting a business. I have this great idea. I have experience in it. And I'd like to get 100% financing. So I'm bringing up the balance sheet because when I ask you for your balance sheet, I'm trying to figure out, did you invest anything in your business? If you don't have skin in the game, if you have invested in your own business, guess what? Why should I?
Exactly.
I don't want to take the risk. I want you to take the risk, Mr. Lender.
Or Mr. Investor.
Or Mr.
Investor. It was my idea. Why I got to have that was my rest. That was my sweat equity.
I did my part. I got my idea.
My sweat equity was coming up with this idea.
Right,
I'm invested. You know how many hours it took me to develop this idea?
Right, exactly.
Doesn't that count for anything? Unfortunately, not in my environment.
You should be happy I'm coming to your bank looking for a loan.
Oh, and let's not forget those that say, but I've been banking with you for all these years. You have all of my deposits. Why won't you give me 100% financing on my business idea?
Wow.
Well, I'm going to talk on that because, as of late, with the Black Lives Matter movement, and some of the campaigning has been put money in a black bank. And I was talking to at Broadway Federal. That's where I'm the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars.
Oh, excellent.
And about in 1996, we actually had a change bank day, and we moved over $7 million of new depositors into Broadway Federal and also One United Bank, those being the black banks in Los Angeles, community banks. And so now we're back there at this space again. And so I'd gone to a couple of meetings for Black Money Matters. And one of the things they were all saying, we're going to put money in a black bank. And then my thought was, well, wait a minute. It's about a relationship with your bank. Because so many people come to us and in my workshops and classes, oh, I need money to start my bank. Okay, have my business or to grow my business, have you gone to your bank? My bank? Yeah, you're supposed to have a relationship with your bank. If you've been banking at that, it's not about just depositing your money in that bank. It's about having a relationship. You should know the bank manager of your branch. You should have sat down and worked out a strategy as to where you want to be and where you want to go. Yes. And they look like, really? Really? I'm supposed to have done that? That would be the first one. Why would you go to a bank that don't know you?
Right.
This one has a history of you. If you've been there for more than 5 to 10 years, they know who you are based upon your money. Yes. But they needed to know who you are as the person, the human being, the business involved. So what was your thoughts on that?
I would absolutely agree with the comments you've made in terms of having a banking relationship. It's more than just you have my checking account, my savings account, and a credit card. I need to know who you are. I've worked for a bank, the one with the little horse in the carriage.
Right.
I've worked there. I realize I used different corporation names. I'm not sure if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is, okay.
Yeah.
So I've worked for Wells Fargo. I'm thankful for Broadway Federal, by the way. Broadway Federal is who financed our church over 40 years ago.
And that's the only one, really at one point, the only bank that was financing churches. That's really one of the reasons that they're in existence was because churches could not go to any other bank to get financing.
Absolutely. So we certainly appreciate them and One United Bank for what they're doing in our community in a place that looks like us, for us.
For us, right.
But recognizing that sometimes the needs go beyond the banks that we own and we need the larger banks. We do need to have relationship. Relationship is critical. To your point, know the branch manager. I worked at Wells Fargo, and I've had people say, well, the banker I had has moved. Well, that's okay. Thank you, Crystal, for mentioning. It's important to know the branch manager. The rotation of the branch manager is going to be a little slower than the bankers. That branch manager is going to have more of a knowledge base about the bank, and the branch manager is going to have the authority to make some of the decisions that you would like made regarding your relationship with them, and when it's time to grow that relationship, which may mean lending beyond the credit card.
Right, exactly. Wells Fargo is actually one of the sponsors for Recycling Black Dollars.
Oh, excellent.
We have a number of One United Bank, Broadway Federal, as well as U.S. Bank.
Okay, excellent.
And Union Bank.
Okay.
They all have been supportive of Recycling Black Dollars since our existence. And so we're very, very appreciative of their support in the efforts that we are bringing our business owners together to connect and making sure that our dollars create economic empowerment. We got work to do.
Right.
The thought is there. The consciousness is definitely there.
Right. And I appreciate you because you're starting with the children.
Yes.
You're teaching the children. I love what you shared earlier. This Nifty program is fantastic. In that, and this is what we as adults need to learn. I'm glad you're starting very early when it comes to investment and having a product. And what we want to remember is it's not what you earn, it's what you keep.
Right.
So as we teach our young people, have a savings account. Have your business, sell your products, take 10% of it, put it in a bank account, pay yourself first.
Right, exactly.
Begin to save. So when you're ready to grow your business, you have reserve capital.
Exactly.
And you're ready to move forward. And I will be looking for that on the balance sheet, Gilbert.
Very good, very good. Well, we're here on the Business Zone with Gilbert Buchanan, the small business paramedic, along with Crystal Mitchell. And we want to let our callers know that you can go ahead and give us a call if you want to discuss anything with regard to loan financing and how to apply for a loan, what you need to do, what you need to have in order to become eligible for a loan. So our phone number today is 323-293-3375. That's 323-293-3375. And again, Mr. Pallay is giving us some great information here. I've been in this industry for over 20 years. I've dealt with a lot of small businesses. We've done cash flow management, but it's always new and refreshing to get new information from anyone, especially Mr. Pallay. Mr. Pallay has been in this industry for multiple years, and he's done some great work with the SBA and a lot of different organizations. Crystal has done some great work as well. Her and I, we partner at the Mount San Antonio College, and she teaches QuickBooks as well as payroll systems. And she's doing a phenomenal job over there. She has 100% placement.
I do.
After those classes, 100% placement. So she knows her stuff. She's on top of her game.
Excellent.
So I just wanted to put that out there.
All the naysayers.
all of the folks who think that we had a little radio station, a little radio program. Just want to let you know.
We're doing our thing. We out here in the trenches. And it's a passion of mine. It's being that accounting and bookkeeping was the core of my business when I first started out. So many of the businesses that I would go to would be struggling. And the struggle was mainly because they were not maintaining their books. They had no idea or no clue how much money they were making. Mm-hmm. And so when they, at the end of the month, I don't have any money. But why? Mm-hmm. That means obviously all your receivables haven't come in. You haven't been on top of it. But if you were maintaining that and keeping financial records, then you would have known that. It always baffles me when people go, I can't afford that. You can't afford not to have someone to come in and do your books, because that's the most important part next to marketing, because I think the two go together. If you have no marketing budget, then what's the point of what are you counting? Right?
Yeah, some small businesses are amazing.
It's just like, let me get the product together. It's important to get the product. No one knows you have a product, then so therefore you have no money. What the heck? Come on, people.
Yeah, so this is great. This is excellent information, and the information we're disseminating today is going to help you small businesses to become better business owners, to become competent, to become business ready, and bank loan ready. That's what we're trying to do for you. So class is in session. Now, let's move on to Mr. Pallay once again. So we talked about 2 financial statements that he's looking for. He's looking for your P&L or your profit and loss statement or your income statement. It's the same document. And he's also looking to see your balance sheet. Now, those documents, do you only want it for 1 year or for 3 years? You want a current year or 3 previous years?
Speaking broadly, some institutions may ask for those for 3 years. Actually, the past years, I can actually find it in the schedules in your tax returns. You can locate them there. Usually a Schedule M1 if you're a CPA or your bookkeeper is not filing that. You want to have them go ahead and file that, because the nice thing is now you don't have to go back to your QuickBooks and recreate that information that I'm going to say, oh, these were prepared on QuickBooks from you. Let me pull out your tax returns. I'm going to validate any information you share on your tax returns. So let's make sure we have them in our tax returns. So tax returns is what I'm going to look for from the past. And when it comes to the financial statements on your balance sheet and your profit and loss or your income statement, I will want that for the current quarter. When you're applying for a loan, that can be aged, that being the balance sheet and the profit and loss, but it has to be within 45 days of your application.
That's very good to know.
Okay.
So that means I do need to, or that business owner, Madam Crystal, needs to keep those updated, don't they?
Yes, they do.
I've had people say, you know what, I haven't looked at that since December, and we're in June.
Right, exactly.
And see, that's why they need a system like our system, Small Biz Pro.
Absolutely.
To maintain those documents, upload them to the system, so when needed by a lender like the CDC, from where Mr. Pallay operates, then you have those documents at your fingertips. Your balance sheet, your profit and loss, all you need to do is just use your smartphone, your tablet, access those documents. So we're looking for balance sheet, we're looking for profit and loss statement, we're looking for tax returns. One other thing that we want to add to this factor is many small businesses, And I'm looking in a camera right now because I want many of you small businesses to know this. A lot of you like to take losses. So when you submit your application, you're showing the banker that you've lost money over the last 2 or 3 years. Right. That does not reflect very well for you. Is that correct, Mr. Pallay?
That is absolutely correct. Maintaining your Small Business Pro documentation in a place and the analysis sheets that are available through Small Business Pro will help you keep an eye on what's going on. And we have to recognize we live in America. God bless America and all of its United States. It's important that we know that capitalism, the system in which we operate under, expects us to pay into the system.
That's right. Got to pay your taxes.
Got to pay the taxes. Like Sam wants his money. If you don't make any money, he wants his money.
Oh, yeah.
And I often tell people, I recognize that there are provisions
yes.
in our tax laws that you can actually avoid taxes. I completely understand. But that type of strategy will not lead to lending.
Right.
It may keep you in business, and that's absolutely fine. But that means that your business will only grow as big or as wide as your pocketbook, I'm dating myself, as your wallet can actually afford.
Exactly.
We don't want you to stay at the size of your wallet unless, of course, your wallet looks like the Rockefeller's wallet. Then that's okay because your account is loaded, right?
Wow.
But what we recognize is there may be a time, and hopefully there is a time, right, when you are going to need OPM,
right?
Other people's money.
That's right. Money. And you should make that your mantra.
Yes.
That you want to use other people's money.
Yes.
You know, I have a client that I met with the other day. And I asked him, do you have a line of credit? He said, no. Why do I need that? I don't need a line of credit. I got my own money. I don't want to borrow anything from anybody. I'm good to go. I said, that's not how you do this thing. You need to use other people's money as leverage.
Yes.
So that means when you really, really, really need some money, then you go to that source. Or if that source is dried up, then you can use some of your money. But for the most part, you want to use other people's money.
Absolutely. It's important to understand that you want to save your money because it's not what you earn, it's what you keep.
Exactly.
So if you can keep money in your bank account and grow that savings account and have what many people are familiar with, reserves.
Right.
You want to, and reserves are not always an emergency fund. Emergency fund should be separate from your working capital reserve fund.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to have to tap into your reserve, which is your only emergency fund account, when you just want to operate your business from day to day. You haven't saved enough yet.
That is true.
You definitely want to make sure you have a separate reserve account. An emergency fund, you know what? Put that emergency fund in that black bank.
Yeah.
Use Broadway Federal.
Right.
Use One United.
Right, exactly.
Let it stay in the community. Let it earn the interest that bank would need to thrive in this particular community. Put other money in other places.
And that's an excellent strategy for that. So that way you're still having the benefit of, because as we say to them, it's not in order to make this happen, it doesn't have to be an either or the or.
Yes.
It needs to be a strategy that is beneficial for yourself, for your business, and for your community. But as it stands right now, the strategy is for everything to go outside of our community, and that's not a great strategy at all, because that's why we're in the position that we're in.
Absolutely.
Because we have not balanced that.
Absolutely.
And that's what we have to be conscious about doing, is creating that balance so our communities can still thrive, because that's where our children go to school.
Absolutely.
That's where we live. So therefore, we want to be able to have say-so in our political and the policies that are made that's on behalf of us and our people. So that's the commitment that we have to make. But we also live in a global world and in an interconnected community, and we need to all work together in that unity of that.
Right. That's excellent. Well said, Crystal. I couldn't have said it any better. And small businesses, these are words of wisdom we're sharing here with you. The Business Zone is designed to elevate small businesses, to help you to build your competence. So when you go to bankers, lenders like the CDC, you can demonstrate that you have the capacity, you have the capability, and you can function well. You can pay back that loan, you can sustain that loan, and you're a good risk. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take another break. and we'll be right back in 2 minutes. Welcome back to the Business Zone. This is Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic, along with Crystal Mitchell, and she is a financial guru. And today we're talking about small business financing. We're here with our special guest, Mr. Richard Pallay from the CDC. That's Community Development Corporation. That's correct?
Certified Development Company.
Certified Development
You're thinking of the other CDC, Doctor.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry about that.
No, absolutely.
Certified Development Company.
Yes.
And also, we provide a variety of different loans at the CDC for small businesses. You want to tell us a little bit about how many loans are awarded on a yearly basis for small businesses?
Okay. And we've been around for, well, first of all, let me take one step back. CDC, as we've identified as a certified development company, our full name, CDC Small Business Finance, as you mentioned earlier. We've been around for almost 39 fiscal years now.
Wow.
So instead of going yearly, let me give you just a compilation of some of the numbers of what we funded in the past, and then we'll talk about what those products are within that particular funding. So over that 37 plus years, we funded over $4.620 billion dollars in real estate funding, commercial real estate lending. I want to encourage our Black and brown communities, as you're starting those businesses and growing those businesses and leasing somebody else's building, buy your own.
Okay.
Buy your own building.
Yes.
Buy your own.
Oh, for sure.
Build your own. You can
buy
do it.
your own building.
Yeah.
Hear that?
Buy it.
And actually, that's a good point, because some of the issues that took place when the construction of the train went into action, a lot of the business owners, the smaller business owners, had been leasing, and I mean for long periods of time, they had been leasing their properties. So of course, when it came down to it, they had no say-so. And so when the owner said, hey, I'm going to take this opportunity, I'm going to sell the building because now it's worth a whole lot more than I paid for it 25, 30, 50 years ago. And so here these businesses had nothing. They had no way to maintain their business. Even if they had been profitable, they then had to scramble to find themselves a new place to live.
Somebody else's building.
And some of them couldn't come back. Because they were doing what they were doing in the position they were in.
And a lot of them have done tenants improvements, so they improve that owner's property.
Exactly.
And that owner is taking all the credit.
That's right.
All of these enhanced values. And they're not sharing in on that.
And actually lost their space because they didn't own the building, and it gave them no say so. And when there's compensation for that, they couldn't even receive it on that end
because they weren't
even though they had made all these improvements to their business. So
you hear that, small businesses? Buy your own building.
Buy your own building. And I guess that's it. That there's just not that information. So that can help you make better decisions and thinking, oh, I can't afford that business. But you don't know that until you go talk to somebody, right?
Absolutely. Exactly. And sometimes small businesses think that to purchase a building might be way outside of their reach, and it may not be.
No, that's right.
It may be so affordable, but because you don't meet with someone like Mr. Pallay at the CDC to ascertain that, then you end up missing an opportunity. So, Crystal, you were talking earlier with Mr. Pallay about, we talk about financial statements, the P&L, the balance sheet. We talk about the tax return, what's needed. So what else do you think a small business need to know about or have in order to prepare themselves before they approach Mr. Pallay?
Well, I think in And I'm gonna use the church as an example because I've done some bookkeeping for a number of churches, and they've refinanced their they've done some refinancing, and so in their case, being that their money is being delivered to them by someone that comes in every Sunday and provides tithes for them, pays tithes for them. One of the things they wanted to know was how many actual paying tithe members do you have? And another thing that was interesting was the age. How old are those individuals that are consistently paying their tithe? Because it makes a difference in a church, because your tithe payers are your older congregations. And a lot of the congregations that were losing their older members through their final resting, going on to glory. So now they have a lot of young members. Well, young members are not consistent about paying the tithes. So it's the same thing with business owners. Who are your consistent customers or clients that return to you? And that they're there, not the brand new one, because the brand new one may come in the door one time and you never see them again. It's about that returning, that reoccurring customer. Who is that person? That's phenomenal. So what creates that reoccurring customer is the customer service is in place. You're selling what you say you're supposed to be selling. Every time you come there, you're not out of the chicken and you're the chicken house. Things like that, because that creates consistency, right?
Right. That's absolutely right.
And so it's the overall business. It's not just because even after you create that business plan and you've been in business for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, 10 years, do you go back and revisit that plan to bring it current to what's going on today? And what are the trends? I mean, so many businesses, I was talking to the kids today about understanding what the trends are and watching out for your threats. We were talking about the SWOT today on what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses and opportunities for you, and who else could be out there that's waiting to threaten to absorb you up because you have not been paying attention to what's happening around you. And we see it every day. Look at the internet businesses. We were just talking today. Microsoft just bought up LinkedIn. And
they did?
They did.
Wow.
$26 billion, I found out today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going to have to get my small biz pro out there faster.
You're going to have to hurry up because there's some things happening. And Amazon is moving fast. It's putting so many people out of business. I mean, you look at in the last couple of months, Sports LA has gone out of business. Sports Authority have gone out of business, mainly because, and they've not gone out of business, they've gone to an online platform. Because Amazon is just he's like a gobble, everything. And they're eating up everything. So I think for you guys, and when someone comes to you, especially growth business, that may have written that business plan when they first started, is that something you want them to be able to do, have upgraded that and looked at what the trends are and where the future of the business industry they're in is going.
Excellent.
Depending on loan amount, what we may do instead of a formal plan, because when we think about a business plan, we think of a very intensive document.
Right.
When you've been in business at least 2 years, what we're looking for is we want to see an executive summary. We still want to know some of the same components of the original business plan. Who is the owner? What's your background? What's your product? Customer acquisition costs.
Well, that's similar to a growth plan?
Correct.
Correct.
Now I'm looking at, now that you want to move forward, what are you moving forward into? What is your new market space or the broader market space that you're trying to reach? What's the thought behind trying to reach that person in this expansion mode? I want to see, how has your business evolved? So you want to tell me, maybe I was only making lemon cupcakes. I know we have children listening, so we'll go to the cupcake example. And if I may, Gilbert, for the guys that are listening, sweets are always good. So now I want to know, what are you expanding into? I want to do chocolate cupcakes. I want to do a red velvet cupcake. I want to do maybe a fancier blueberry cupcake. So now what we're looking at is why are you doing that? Because when I did my research, thank you, Crystal, when I did my research, I understand that the new market now, lemon is kind of getting outdated and more people are asking for other flavors. So I want to reach out and expand my market space by adding other flavors to it. And my expectation is in this new market I'm going to reach is going to bring me so much revenue, going back to the projections again.
So just like adding, if you're selling pastries, adding gluten-free products to your line would be a great thing because that's the new trend.
That's the new trend.
And everyone is going there right now, and you can probably garner a bigger market share.
Yes.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
I mean, because even the big boys, McDonald's has changed, and they're creating a healthier menu. We've talked about that with the kids. You know, you go. I went to McDonald's not long ago, like, what happened? Wait a minute, where's my big sweet tea?
Not there anymore.
It's not there. So they're doing healthier things because the trends are dictating that. So we can't be sitting in our little rocking chair going, no, this is my business model. This is what I started with. And by golly, I'm going to stay right there, right here, because this is how I started.
Keep holding on to it.
I'm going to hold on to this because this is my business model. And so we have to be always moving forward. And that's really the reason, I think, for the purpose of going to conventions and trade shows is so that you can see what's going on. I don't think we ever should get to a place in our businesses where we're not going out there to see if there's some new things and new opportunities that you then can take advantage of.
Business owners that are stagnant like that, they call them dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Okay? We don't do business with dinosaurs. It's not good for you.
Right.
And I wanted to add to this point as we were talking about dinosaurs to our audience who may be listening. Nostalgia does work if you've built a brand around that nostalgia.
Right, exactly.
Who am I thinking of? In-N-Out Burger.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
In-N-Out Burger has not changed their burger recipe.
No, they haven't.
They have not changed their French fries. They have not changed their shakes.
You know
why? And yet they still have lines going down the street and out the door.
There's a demand for it.
Exactly.
There's a demand.
Exactly.
If your demand is diminishing, and you still holding on to it, then you're a dinosaur.
But if you got a brand that has that in and out, I mean, it is, and I think even though that they've had a nostalgia branding, but they've always been in the outline area. So for the in urban areas, they're brand new, right? The in and out, because usually it's when you're on the highway. In and out, we have to stop at an in.
It's a destination.
So now that they didn't put it here in the city, oh man, of course it is. But look at where they've strategically placed themselves. Airport, right there, because people coming in and out. That's used to still destination.
That's right.
High traffic area. High traffic area.
But it's a high traffic area. So knowing that somebody on their way to the airport, especially now that you can't get food on the plane. So I grab my in and out before I get there, and at least I've eaten beforehand. So it's a lot of thought process, and I think that our small business owners, that's what they need. So at the CDC, just like the SBA, do you guys have mentors as well, or like the SBA does?
Okay. What we want to look at is going back to the model of the CDC, a certified development company. I was talking about the $4,620,000,000 in loans that we did. Let's talk about the product, and I'll answer that question in this way. But let's go the other way first before I go back to us as a company. The Small Business Administration, for the audience to know once and for all, does not make loans. Everyone thinks the federal government gives money directly to borrowers. The federal government is not in a position to do that. They give it to lenders to re-lend out, so to do the scrutiny necessary to get funds. And what the federal government does is guarantee those loans. So the Small Business Administration, much like the Federal Housing Administration, FHA, in the housing industry, guarantees the loans that I'm making. What does that mean? It's an insurance policy. Much like the loan that I will give you, Crystal, when you're starting your business I'll give you 70% of your business costs. We can go specifically in what does a loan look like in a startup versus an existing business. But looking at a startup loan, I'm going to give you 70% of your loan. The SBA is going to guarantee a percentage of the 70% that I give to you is going to guarantee me or insure me against loss.
Okay.
So if I've used prudent underwriting, so what does that mean? I've properly analyze the risk. Gilbert talked about this earlier. I'm risk adverse.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to lend to you, but the aversion that I want is failure.
Right.
I want to avert from failure. I don't want you to fail. I want to
Okay.
make sure what you're going to do is solid, who you are is solid, and you have character. And we'll go into that in a moment. So the SBA guarantees loans made by lenders. So when you're going into the bank and you're looking for a loan and you're seeking SBA financing, it means, you know what, I may have some areas where I need help. So I need my federal government with the tax dollars that I pay to help support me in this I want to do.
Yeah.
So we as lenders are lending the money guaranteed or insured to us by the SBA, not at 100%. I still can suffer risk. I still can suffer loss, but the SBA makes me more motivated to help you because at least I have we don't like to say a fallback plan because we don't want to make loans just because the guarantee is there. We don't want to abuse the capitalistic system because that's how things go away.
Okay.
That's how we begin to lose accesses.
Okay.
Because we've abused a particular system.
Right.
So it's really more of just an assurance. It's someone standing with me as a lender to help you.
Yeah.
That's what your federal government is here to
good.
do. So when you think about mentors, where you're seeking your mentors is through the Small Business Administration system, through organizations like SCORE.
Right, right.
Now,
okay.
SCORE, the Society, the Service Corps of Retired Executives is what SCORE stands for. It used to be S period, C period, et cetera. Now it's just SCORE, but where it originates from is these retired executives who volunteer their time to help small businesses. I've been in business a long time. I may be retired now, or I may have just had an opportunity in my life to be able to share some of my experiences and help you.
Right.
And advise you and give you information based on my own experiences. So that's where the counseling comes in, or the mentoring comes in. I don't want people to feel like, oh, I'm so stupid, I have to get a counselor. It's not a counselor in that aspect, much as Gilbert is the small business paramedic, right?
Right, exactly.
He has solutions and tools that he
That's
can
right.
help you with in your business. So the SCORE counselors. Also, when we think about mentoring or technical assistance or help in your business is a Small Business Development Center.
Yes.
Another organization supported by the SBA.
Okay.
In the city of Los Angeles, it's the Business Source Center system. Again, counselors, advisors, people here to help you. And, you know, why I love using these organizations is most of the services are free.
Yes.
And you notice when you say free, you always smile.
I know how
You say
It's
free.
free.
It's free. And because it's free, our government doesn't do a great job of advertising that we exist.
So
and
true.
As a CDC, so the mentoring that you're looking for, going all the way around to your original question, so those are the mentors that you'll find in the SBA system. At a CDC, at a certified development company, we're our lender.
Okay.
I'm moving into economic development, or I have moved into economic development, where I will mentor and I'll help small businesses. And part of that mentoring actually means let me introduce you to resources that are smarter than me. I'll help you where I'm smart. And then I'll get some folks that are smarter than me. I'll introduce them to our partnership so that now that you have a team that most times you don't have to pay for. And if you do have to pay, it's a nominal fee. I think about some of the courses that the SBDC, which is typically located at colleges, that they offer. There may be a nominal fee, and it's usually for the supplies and expenses of operating the particular classroom. But I just want the audience to know the difference between us. And I'm an alternative lender. I'll end it with this. What an alternative lender means, you went to your bank to seek what we call conventional financing. That's financing that didn't require a guarantee, or if it's an SBA loan that you've gotten from your bank that did require a guarantee, your credit standings were still such that you didn't need the help of an alternative lender, which means there's probably some more risk involved. So I'm going to cost a little more, not much, because the federal government is helping. But I'm here after you've established that relationship with your bank, and your banker has decided you're not what we call bankable. Meaning that the bank can't make the loan to you. Doesn't mean you're in check systems and can't get a bank account. Let me clarify. It just means that the bank cannot give you a loan at this time.
So Crystal and I perform training to entrepreneurs So what if we would like to offer training to some of the CDC potential borrowers or existing borrowers? How would we go about doing that? Is there, or I should say, is there opportunities like those available at the CDC?
You will find that at some CDCs do have those opportunities, and I'd like to extend the invitation to you to please let me know that you'd like to do what we call a partnership.
We are definitely interested.
Or we'll have collaboration, and I'll clarify. I'll differentiate the two this way. A collaboration means we're working together.
Exactly.
There's not an exchange of funds between us, but it's more like the bartering system. I make the space available. You make the education available.
Right, exactly.
You advertise to the students. I'll make the space available. And in some cases, there's a partnership where we say, well, if you share in the responsibility of cost for hosting a program, and let's get this information out because we share that same passion. As a CDC, the products that we offer, going back to the SBA again, we talked about buying a building. That's the SBA 504 program.
Right.
Okay.
The SBA 504 program is a second trust deed program. So that $4 billion, that's $4 billion in second trust deed financing that I've given. We were involved in over $12 billion in commercial real estate transactions. How did that transaction work? The bank funded 50% of that purchase, and we funded 40% of that purchase. And Mr. and Ms. Borrower, Mr. and Ms. Small Business, you paid 10% and you got that building.
Oh, wow.
That's how you got yourself started. You didn't go through conventional financing requiring 20, 30, and sometimes 40%.
See, that's amazing. See, a lot of that small businesses don't know a lot of that stuff.
Right.
That is phenomenal.
The other product that we offer as a CDC, and there's 265 of us, by the way, across the nation. I'm happy to say we're the number one CDC in the nation after 39
years.
Congratulations. We're very proud. And over the last 20 years, we've been number one in originating the SBA 504 product. And by the way, it's Los Angeles County that keeps us as number one as far as the amount of production of that 504 program, though we do offer the product throughout California, Arizona, and Nevada. But then there's another product that a lot of people don't know about, the SBA 7A. Well, I've heard of that. I go to my bank and get that. But when your bank says no, is it necessarily over? No. We have the 7A Community Advantage. Oh, notice those words, Community Advantage. Your federal government has said to the CDCs, we're mission-based, serve the low to moderate income community, the minority community, the women business owner community, the veteran community, LGBT community, serve them with this advantage program that would say we have leniencies that your bank does not have. Now, I don't want to go too deep into these particulars about that, but this is where opportunity comes in working with an alternative lender to give you that opportunity that wasn't afforded to you at that bank that you have a relationship with. So don't be mad at the bank.
Right, exactly.
It just means you didn't fit the criterion or the requirements that the stockholders of that bank said. You said you would make loans in a particular community. These are the regiments, the guidelines in which you must follow. If they fall outside of that guideline, that increases the risk that I'm not willing to bear when I bought stock in your bank.
Right.
So see if you can find another source for them, and that's where we come in.
So there's 165 CDCs?
265 across the United States.
265
Wow.
CDCs.
That's a lot.
That's phenomenal. That is phenomenal.
And where
you guys are number one.
We're number
out
one.
Of all those 265.
All those 265, we are number one.
That's pretty
That
good.
is amazing.
And where are you located?
Our corporate office, our headquarters is in San Diego.
Okay.
The city is Point Loma. The specific place where we are is a naval station. A naval base called Liberty Station. I'm sorry, I said station because it's Liberty Station is the name of the naval base that was repurposed. So when we talk about economic development, the base closed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So this large property, if you will, with all these units, all these buildings on them where the federal government has moved out from, is no longer an active property. Our organization worked with the city and worked with the county and decided how can we repurpose this particular space.
That's phenomenal.
We own a building in the space. We've encouraged other businesses to move into the space. They own buildings in the space. This goes back to what we said earlier. To our entrepreneurs who are listening to us, buy your buildings, control your neighborhood, control the policy decisions. We're huge advocates for low to moderate income community. We've bought into the space. We repurposed the space. Now it's a destination space. There are hotels.
Oh, wow.
There's an ice rink.
Okay.
There are movie theaters.
And all of that is owned by you, or they're leasing from you?
Actually, we own our building,
right?
But we've encouraged others to
buy.
join us in this particular
that's
property.
fantastic.
So now all these small businesses have the opportunity to collaborate and work together, and the community was working in that collaboration as well.
That's
to say,
amazing.
what do we want here? Your vote counts.
That's amazing.
And that should be a model that could be duplicated all around, all over the country.
Yes.
Is these co-op type of environments.
Yes.
And actually, it was probably what Black Wall Street was a co-opted environment,
Absolutely
right?
Was.
And
Absolutely
Allensworth and all those
Yes.
areas like that. So
Absolutely.
that could be a strategy.
Yes.
Is a bigger person come in and then encourage other people to come in to work to create and own in that space. That's a fantastic.
So to your 14,000 readers that you have access to, and to the multi-thousands that are listening to us today, I'd like to say in our community here in South LA, let's partner together.
Excellent.
CDC has the advocacy power and the weight, if you will, right? And the finances behind us to say if we can work together, we can rebuild the community just like we did in San Diego, which is why I've been moved into economic development. So can we create those relationships to do exactly that, Crystal?
I was at George Fraser, you know Dr. George Fraser?
Absolutely.
And his Power Network conference. I went to it in June. Phenomenal. Yes. Oh my God, was it ever phenomenal. Yes. But there was a group of people that were doing that in Oklahoma, I think Tulsa. Yes. They were creating that economic and recreating a Black Wall Street, to say it, but doing it exactly the same way.
Yes.
And some of it, it looked almost like they were recycling black dollars, but they had moved into that space to do that. So that would really be something, because so many people are looking for that right now, but not really knowing what that strategy looks like.
Yes.
So they're grasping at straws.
Yes.
The boycotting is cool, it's great,
yes.
But it's not. That's not the solution. The solution is to create the dollars, keep the dollars circulating in the community of which you're living in. And if that's black and brown, then and if other people are living in that community, everybody is contributing to that community to keep it growing.
Yes.
And powerful. So I think that's fantastic. That's amazing.
And Crystal, if I may, isn't that our answer to what we now call gentrification?
That is our answer to
Hispanic
gentrification.
Neighborhoods, they call it gentrification.
Right, exactly.
The answer to that, affordable housing is necessary. We have to give people an entry point to be able to come into the community and stay.
Yeah.
But then we need to take people to the next level, much like you're doing with the students in Nifty.
Yeah.
Right.
Learn to buy in your community and then learn to buy your community. So buy in it,
and then,
patronize it, and then buy it.
Right. Buy it. And it's amazing because one of the young men that's in the class, his name is Christian, and yesterday after he'd gone through the Junior Achievement Program, which is the financial literacy program, and he came back and I said, "Oh, you're done?" He says, "Yeah, I'm done." So he was saying, "Why do parents always say they can't afford stuff?" He says, because he had gone through, he had put money in savings, so it looked, the way they were doing it is like, I don't understand. Then I was like, well, a lot of that's conditioning. A lot of that is you've gotten that from your parents and their parents, and it's been passed down from generation to generation. He says, well, Miss Crystal, what do you think about investing? What do you think about stocks and bonds? And so today he asked me, how old do I have to be? How old does a person have to be in order to invest in the stock market? And I said, well, you have to be 18. But there are products out there where your parents, instead of giving you money, they now can buy stock and put it in your name, but they're managing it until you're an adult. And for my nephews, that's one of the things for graduation. I had some stock, and I share. I'm giving them shares so that to get them started. And we play a game called Cash Flow. Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Robert Kiyosaki is an excellent game for teaching kids about the stock market and playing. Yes?
Let's take a break real quickly, and we'll come right back to that. So, break in two.
Just to give you the numbers on how much of that we originated.
That'd be cool.
And what that is.
So welcome back to the Business Zone. This is Gilbert Buchanan, the small business paramedic, along with my co-host, Crystal Mitchell. And we're having fun here today talking about small business financing with our special guest, Mr. Richard Pallay from the CDC. So, Mr. Pallay, you want to tell us a little bit more about the CDC and the funding that you've got there available?
Absolutely. Thank you. We talked earlier about buying your building. It's a wonderful aspiration, and it's one that I know Crystal's going to walk away and teach her kids in Nifty.
I certainly
Start
am.
looking at real estate now, because if you save now, time is on your side.
Right, exactly. They start now. By the time they're 15, man,
Exactly. They'll be ready to buy that building.
Tycoons.
That's right. And they can come and get an SBA 504 and spend 10% of that money and buy that building. But, you know, the audience is probably thinking, well, that buying a building is a little bit outside of my reach right now, but I need money now for something else that I'm doing in my business. Yeah. And the other product that the SBA offers is the SBA 7A. Mm-hmm. Okay. At the bank, you can get a 7A loan, which I like to tell people 7A the expression for the 7A loan is working capital. Mm. And 7A working capital, the expression working capital is like a golf umbrella. It's an all-encompassing term that covers many uses. Mm-hmm. You can pay for your salaries with your working capital. Mm-hmm. You could buy a building, actually, with working capital. Mm-hmm. You can buy equipment. You can make payroll. Mm. You can buy equipment. Mm-hmm. You could purchase inventory. You can pay leases.
And what type of interest rates are on those?
Depending on where you are, these products are credit-based. I must tell you, the products are credit-based. If you're at a banking institution, probably the maximum you'll pay for a loan like that is going to be 6% in terms of interest rate. Right. The rate could be variable, so you always want to ask, is this variable or fixed? If it's variable, what is it tied to? These loans don't work like a credit card where they're revolving every day and changing, but it could be monthly depending on whatever index it's tied to. And with us, rates, because I'm an alternative lender, remember we talked about that earlier, yes. I'm just when you fall out of the guidelines from the bank. When you come to me, our rates run anywhere from 6.25% to 9.25%. Mm-hmm. And the terms of our loans are 10 years. Mm-hmm. So I give you 10 years to pay us back. Wow. There's no prepayment penalty involved in this particular loan product. Wow. And it's designed to give you lower entry, if you will, meaning that, yes, the rate's a little higher, but I give you a longer term to pay it. Mm. So the expression is amortization. You're going to pay the full loan over the 10-year period in equal payments, hence the definition of amortization. So it's fully amortized. Mm-hmm. But by extending that payment out for 10 years, you may be able to get a larger loan than you would if you had to pay in a shorter period of time. Right. We've actually, the product was developed in November of 2011, so it's a very new product. Mm-hmm. And our federal government, thankfully, it was a test pilot product. Yeah. How many of these products, because it's only offered through CDCs, how much volume can we generate in originating this particular product? And what does that mean? It means to the SBA, there's a need for it. Mm. So we've generated enough volume over the past 5 years where the SBA has said this is now a permanent product. Right. And so it's no longer, because it was about to go away in 2017, by the way. And over the past 5 years, we've done over $150 million in loans that start at $50,000 and go up to $250,000. For our listeners that are saying, well, I don't need $50,000, I only need $10,000. We do also have a microloan product, a little shorter term because it's a smaller product. It's $10,000 to $50,000. And that product, 5 years. 5 years. It's a 5-year term on that product. These products are tied to prime. Mm-hmm. So as prime moves, your rate will move. Yeah. Prime hasn't moved in a while. And if we vote correctly, we'll be able to
and we vote.
And we vote. We'll be
Not just correctly, Richard. We vote.
Right. You hear that, entrepreneurs?
Vote.
Vote. If you vote, you can keep the loan rate down. You can keep the loan the right way.
That's right. So correct is relative to how you define correct.
Right, exactly.
So we want to keep this interest rate environment low because it's one in which we need in the low to moderate income community. We don't want rates to rise. We don't want it to get out of pace with our wages. Okay. We need our rates to stay where they are so we can grow ourselves, grow our own economy within this economy, if you will, and keep moving forward. So I wanted to offer that. There is a 7A Community Advantage product and there's a microloan product, again, $10,000 to $50,000 for those who are looking for smaller loans. Yes. And by the way, I'm not a bank, which means I can work with a startup.
That's great.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Okay,
like
that's
that.
cool.
I like that.
And pre-revenue. I got a
good.
plan. I'm ready to go. I got money to invest.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Crystal.
Okay.
I got my plan.
equity
and I'm ready to
injection.
go.
I'm ready. That's fantastic.
My skin in the game.
So I got this question I want to ask you right now because
Is it burning?
Oh yes, it's burning. I've got a client who owns a radio station, and the client really wants to know what type of loan programs might be available for a radio station. How do we go about obtaining that, and what does that owner of that radio station need to do in order to qualify?
Let's go back.
Do you offer loans, I should ask, to radio stations? That's the first thing.
Let's go back to our wonderful federal government that has SBA Community Advantage. The loan is actually industry agnostic.
Okay.
What does that mean? I don't care
Okay,
what your
you
industry is.
Yeah.
Remember the working capital golf umbrella?
Yeah.
That also falls true for usage of the proceeds for the business that wants to use it.
That's good to know.
We just need to make sure, as we talked about earlier, the plan, the knowledge and experience, the secondary source of income to pay the loan while you're growing the business,
Right.
the projections, all those good things. And of course, we didn't talk about the personal financial statement and the business debt schedule, but
Right.
what I'm trying to figure out is, do you have enough discretionary income?
Right.
According to your past tax returns, let's make
Right.
sure we emphasize that.
Right.
You told the government, look, I really do have money. I paid your taxes
Right.
on it because I'm a good capitalist here in the United States of America. God bless it. Now we have the opportunity to say, okay, if I gave you the money, what would you use it for? What I'm glad you're a radio station. What specifically do you need it for? Do you need it for tenant improvements? Are you building your radio station? Are you buying equipment to furnish this particular radio station?
What if they need working capital?
I was just going to, and all of this is working capital, by the way.
Oh,
It all
okay.
falls under working capital.
Okay.
But maybe you've already bought all of those things, and now you're saying, well, what I need to do is now I want to hire staff. You talked earlier about payroll, operating expenses, salaries.
Right.
You can get a loan for salaries, and you may say, well, I need to do marketing. I have a radio station. I need to make a campaign. You can pay for that. Working capital.
Right.
This golf umbrella is huge. What do you need your money for? What I'm really looking for is, and this is what I share with audiences, I have 3 questions for every audience member, whether that audience be an audience of 1 on the telephone or an audience of 220
Right.
when I'm speaking in a meeting. And I tell them, here's what you need to know. There's the lending. Notice I said lending, not investing. I'm not an investor.
Right.
I can't celebrate your successes by asking you to give me more than what I gave you
Right.
over and above a particular amount of interest.
Right.
Nor can I crash and burn with you. I'm a lender. So I have what we call a lender readiness test. Hopefully our audience has their pen and paper ready because it's 3
good.
questions.
Okay, you guys got your pen and pencil ready and
All
taking
right.
notes?
There we go.
And our client that we just kind of talked about a few minutes ago that has a radio station?
I want to tell this client that I have these 3 questions, and if you have answers for these 3 questions, we need to talk further.
Okay.
The first question, ladies and gentlemen, how much do you need?
Okay.
The answer to this question cannot be how much do you have?
Okay.
I work with the federal government. I shared with you earlier that we've loaned $4.6 billion in lending, so
Right.
I have access to capital. I can get you capital. If your answer is how much do you have, you're not ready for lending. That's why this is a lending readiness test.
So we're looking for $100,000.
You're looking for $100,000. Excellent. So now that I know how much you need, so that means when you develop the $100,000, that means you have an actual plan for this is where the monies are going to be used. That's my second question. I'm going to ask you, how will you use that $100,000?
Okay.
And you lay out, well, here's my plan. This is what I'm going to do with the money. Excellent. The $64,000 question, and sometimes I have millennials in my audience. They probably don't remember the game show. So I tell them, though that sounds clever that I said that, that was an actual game show. If you don't know what that is, Google it.
Right. There you go.
And the $64,000 question is, how will you pay me back?
That's the big question.
That's the big
That's
question.
the only question
The
when
only
it comes to
question
the
really at the
lender.
end of the
How are
day
you
that
going to pay
matters.
me back? The only thing that matters.
I want my money back.
I want my money back. And borrowing is not for everyone because of that.
Right,
Some
exactly.
people say, I don't have a home. Can I get a loan if I don't have a home? Absolutely you can. Because you're saying you don't have formal collateral in that type of sense.
Right.
So how do we measure repayment? Do we look at ratios? Are we looking at cash ratios, quick ratios, current ratios? What are we looking at?
Excellent. The quick ratios and current ratios, that's great if I'm talking to an existing business. I want to go under the assumption, if I may, Gilbert, that this is a startup business.
Okay.
So you don't have those ratios yet because your business is not in place.
Right.
However, you do have a debt service ratio.
Uh-huh.
And what does that mean? That means how much money do you have to serve the debt that you have? It's a little twist on that, right? Yeah. That I just made up right now while we're talking. Isn't life fun? So, because what I'm looking at is I'm looking at how much income do you have gross. Don't try to figure out taxes and all that. Say, well, once I take all this out, no.
Yeah.
No. What I'm looking at is how much debt do you have. This is where we talked about the personal financial statement. I just mentioned the statement. Right. The statement is your personal balance sheet because your balance sheet is showing me your assets, your balance sheet is showing me your liabilities, and your balance sheet is showing me your owner's equity.
Right.
Okay, so assets minus liabilities equals owner's equity. This is what I know you have left. So when I'm looking at that, I'm looking at, do you have enough money left over with the income that you have and the debts that you pay? Is there anything left to
cover
pay
the loan.
me
Yeah.
for the loan that you want?
Right.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Different banks have different debt service ratios. If you walk into your bank, I'm going to leave you with this, and you go to your bank, because we always encourage people, check with your bank first. Thank you, Crystal. You have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Now you're asking them that big question. It's almost like, will you marry me, right? We've just been dating when you had my savings account and my bank account. When you start asking me for that bigger commitment.
Now we want to get to the next level.
And you got a whole 10-year relationship. We're going to be together for a whole 10 years, man. So that is a marriage.
Love it. So, honey, I need $100,000. Right?
Yes.
And you want to know how long are we going to be together for that full 10 years?
Are you going to pay me back? So what bankers are looking for, and all of us as lenders, let me be fair in the term to make it broad. What we as lenders are looking for is a certain amount of income versus your debt. Banks will typically ask for anywhere from $1. I'm going to bring it down to its smallest component to help the young people that are listening. Do you have $1.15 of income for every dollar of expense? So that candy bar that you bought from the store at 50 cents, that you're now going to sell, you'd like to sell it for $1.15. Right? Because you want to have enough money to pay the 50 cents back. Now you've got 65 cents left over. I'm going to make you a loan that's going to cost you 40 cents. Well, great. You still have 25 cents left over. Yeah. So you have sufficient amount of money to pay my particular request or my need, excuse me.
Right.
You have enough money serving your debt that you have more money left over than you have debt. Some banks may be as high as $1.50.
Okay.
So going back to, I made a comment. I said, when you walk into the bank, now let's finish that point. Now that I've told you what we're looking for, so you're knowledgeable when you go to talk to that banker, right? You want that banker to know you've done your homework. When you talk to that banker and you say, I want to get a loan, the question I have for you is, what is your debt service ratio or your debt coverage ratio, DSR, DCR? If that banker looks at you with a question mark on their forehead, go to the branch manager.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The branch manager doesn't know, run, don't walk out of
that
institution.
Exactly.
Because it's important that they know what is the expectation that they need in your income levels. Yeah. When you come to us, I'm looking for $1 of income for every dollar of expense. And you're thinking, well, how do you make any money? Yeah. Trust me, I'm looking at discretionary income at the end of the day. Yeah. But I at least need you to be able to serve your debt. Your debt should not be owing more than you actually earn.
Right, exactly.
That is really good information, Mr. Pallay. And we really, Crystal and I really, really want to thank you for coming in today. You've brought some extra knowledge here for us today, and I'm sure you brought some extra knowledge for our listeners as well. So thank you so much.
It's been an absolute
pleasure. Appreciate you being here. So what we're going to do right now, Crystal, we want to touch into a little Crystal and Gilbert time.
And I want to share some events that's coming up that we want to let our listeners know about. So you want me to take it from here?
Yes.
There's I mentioned it last week on the show. There is a pitch competition that was hosted by Miller Lite, the brewery company, and the business mogul Damon John. He is in search of the next winner of the Miller Coors Tap the Future contestant, and they have individuals that are semifinalists, and they're going on to the finalists. So they will be here for a pitch competition for a shot at $200,000 in money for their businesses, and they will be in Los Angeles August 10th. That's on a Wednesday. If you are interested in participating or going out and meeting Mr. John and also seeing the live pitch competition, you will RSVP at mltapthefuture.com. You can also go on our website, The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, and you can get all the details that are there. Another thing that is coming up is the the fourth annual Mobile Retail Food Truck Expo, which is being hosted by Vermont Slauson Economic Development Center. It's going to be Saturday, August 13th. From 8:30 to 1 o'clock, and it's going to be held at the Los Angeles Technical College, LA Trade Tech, and it's the only mobile business expo of its kind. So you can give the CDC a phone call at 323-489-4515 for more information, and you can also go to Vermont Slauson website, Economic Development Center website, and get some details. The next thing is Crystal, which is myself, yours truly. I am hosting a business plan workshop. So we've been talking about business plans all for the last 2 hours. So the cost is $125. It's an 8-week program from August 23rd to October 11th. It is partial in-house workshop and webinar. So you'll spend 2 weeks in coming to me, and then you'll spend 2 weeks online. So sign up today. The class is going to be, the deadline is going to be probably August 15th. So you need to get in there from 7 to 8:30. And let me see if I got something else. Oh, Gilbert, he has something here. Save the date for the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce convention, annual convention. And it's going to be September 21st, 2023 in Riverside, California. You can go to the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce for more details. And finally, for those of us that own black businesses, Recycling Black Dollars, we are in our season of taking ads for our resource guide, the Recycling Black Dollars Black Business Resource Directory. If you have been looking for a black business and you don't know how to find them, and I've heard you guys on Facebook because you've been reaching out to me, so you need to place your ad in our book. It is going to be a hard copy book, and as well for this first time, we're going to be mobile, and that mobile campaign is for a nationwide. Wherever you go in this country, you will be able to find your black business. So we're taking ads, and you can reach us at 323-449-2099 for rates. You can go on our website. Right at the present moment, you can actually find our current guide online. You can flip through it. It's in a magazine style. You can find out whatever business you need, but we need your business to be in there for the 2017.
Definitely. These are great resources, and we really would like all of you to participate in this. Many business owners, you need just that one step, that one phone call, that one login to get to your opportunities. This is it. So you really want to check it out. And we didn't give you Mr. Pallay's information before, so we're going to have Mr. Pallay give you his phone number right now so that you guys can go on over to his office, do a sit down, and try to see what type of loans you can get. So, Mr. Pallay.
Fantastic. Everyone, pick up your pens or pencils or your electronic devices. Let's give you a phone number. You can find me right here in Pasadena. Our corporate office is in San Diego, but I'm right here in Pasadena at 80 South Lake Avenue, suite number 528. How will you know you're there? There'll be a Wells Fargo Bank and a Starbucks coffee in the ground floor of the building. If you need to call, which I suggest you do so before you come by and visit with me, the office number, 626 529-0716. And finally, I'm on the road a lot, visiting with entrepreneurs and sharing access to capital presentations. You can reach me on my cell phone at 626-660-6970. Let's work together to make America better.
Better.
Much better.
Greater and better.
And how do we do that? We get small businesses growing, buying buildings, and invest in their communities.
Exactly, because that's really how you rejuvenate an economy is through small business.
Absolutely.
So we need our small businesses to step up and take that chance to make that business of their dreams. There's no better time for it than right now. So as Mr. Pallay had said, there's opportunities out there. There's lending for those of you that we're trying to get positioned to get into a supplier diversity marketplace. Now there's that bridge that you need for payroll while you're waiting for the contracts to come in. So because we get that all the time. So what do I do if I go out for this? How do I make payroll? It takes them a long time to pay.
I guess it goes back to that plan.
Yeah, that plan.
and this is really great information. As a matter of fact, Crystal and I, we collaborated, and we're currently coaching some small businesses. We're encouraging small business to give us a call so we can work with you to get your business to the next level. As a matter of fact, what we're doing is we're starting smaller groups right now, small groups of 10. So 10 entrepreneurs or 10 small businesses, existing businesses, and we will take your business, we'll nurture you, we'll help you to build your business. And whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's payroll, infrastructure development, minority or woman-owned certification, a procurement, contract readiness, bank loan readiness, any of those types of things, that's what we'll do for you and get your business ready. So when it's time for you to go to Mr. Pallay for a loan, you're actually ready. And all those questions he's asking you, those 3 questions that he asked you before, how much you need, what do you need it for, and when are you going to pay him back, you should be able to rattle that off. So that's what Crystal and I will do for you. So you can reach us at our social media and our email and website
Right.
address.
We're on Facebook at The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert. We're on Twitter, and that would be The Business Zone with an IZZONE. And we are also, we have a YouTube channel. You can also reach us on Recycling Black Dollars, which is rbdmedia.org. We have information there. Our website is thebusinesszone.com, and my Facebook, and Gilbert has a Facebook, and LinkedIn. There's really no way you can't reach us out there.
Exactly.
So all you have to do is go to your computer and put in The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, or just Crystal Mitchell on her site and Gilbert Buchanan and Associate on his site, and you will find everything you need in order for us to help you grow your business.
And remember, we're small business advocate. We're consultants, we're professional consultants, but we're small business advocate first. So we're here advocating for you. Our job is to really elevate your performance, make sure you advance into the forefront of your market, and be able to tap into opportunities. And the website for the CDC to apply for your loan or to meet with Mr. Pallay is www.cdcloans.com. That's www.cdcloans with an S, loans.com. Okay? Make sure you get that. And I want to talk to you a little bit about our Small Biz Pro as we're talking about it. Small Biz Pro, our system that helps small businesses become business ready, contract ready, and bank loan ready. Again, I'm going to give you my website. It's www.smallbizpro.net. That's small biz with a Z, B-I-Z, pro.net. I want you guys all to go to that site, register for that site. When you register, you send us an email to let us know you are listening to the show, and we will give you a free subscription for life.
Oh,
free subscription for life.
I'm smiling.
Now, this this offer is only available for the next 3 days. So you take advantage of this within the next 3 days and send us an email, mention that you're a listener of the Business Zone, and you will get this for free. It's tremendous.
And if you go to our Facebook page and like us and register your information, your email address, then the first 10 people that do that, I will put you on my VIP list to attend the live pitch competition that is going to have with Mr. Damon John. So we would love to see you guys. We want you to connect with us. And next week we have a fantastic show. We actually have Vermont Slauson coming in to talk about the food and mobile retail business, which is a phenomenal way to get into business. Low cost. They have special financing for mobile trucks and retail trucks. So you want to tune in next week to the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, so you can find out how you can be able to jump into a business space through a mobile retail and a food truck.
From 3 to 5 every Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 o'clock.
And streaming live at morrismedialive.com.
All right. So we're going to check out right now. We just want to make sure that you guys really had a good show. You enjoy this, and send us an email or text or anything to that effect to let us know how this show helped you today, if it helped you at all. And we're really happy to have Mr. Pallay here to talk a little bit about loan. So, Mr. Pallay,
Thank
want
you
to say
so much.
a few words?
Thank you so much. It was an honor. I'll leave with you Earl Nightingale's definition of success, and this is for all of our listeners. I love sharing this. And what Earl Nightingale said, he said, if success is defined as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Finally, I leave you, if you are working toward a predetermined goal and you know where you are going, you are a success already.
I love that.
All right.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Great show.
Great show. Thank you very
so
much, entrepreneurs, for listening.
I told you all have those pearls of wisdom, man.
I know. And we're checking out.
I'm a humble guest.
Thank you.
Thank you.